Hello! Come one, come all to the final night of Ithaca Online. Final unless, I suppose, this is so wildly successful that you demand that we come back. And we hope you do, obviously. Not, fishing or anything like that. Anywho, welcome to the final performance of this crazy fusion of horror comics, digital live theater, and live streaming, as I've mentioned many times, the most reliable of all storytelling mediums. So, we'll be performing this only one more time, I am sorry to say, But if you'd like to tip the production and you haven't so far, you can do so here at the bottom. All of the tips are split amongst the cast and crew, and there is a crew. I am part of it. So please consider tipping the production. If you'd like to support the comic that inspired this play, we are on Kickstarter right now, kickstarting issues 2 and 3, and we received the illustrious honor of being named a Project We Love by Kickstarter. So apparently that means that we're high quality. So come check out some cool new comics. We can't make new plays until we have new comics, so another reason to back us there. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into the final production. I will, of course, bring everyone up to speed if this is your first night. If you want to know what happened in the previous issue of Ithaca Comic, I'm here to read this to you in an annoying, old-timey radio voice. Ahem. Let us begin, beautiful audience who've come here maybe multiple times already. All right. Going to go into that 1920s radio headspace now. The year is 1920. The season, autumn. The location, Ithaca, New York. The infamous Saxton estate has been auctioned off to a local land tycoon looking to build an upstate playground for the rich. But a string of unusual deaths associated with the property have left a bad taste in the mouths of would-be investors. The spiritualist movement is in full swing, and small towns are often superstitious to begin with. Rumors of supernatural malaise circulate the public discourse, and I do love saying that word in case you were wondering. An ad is put out in the Ithaca Times. Spiritualist investigators wanted to perform a psychic audit of the Saxton estate and to ensure that the newly purchased lands are made spiritually healthy. But who will answer the call, and why? In the previous issue of Ithaca Comic, we met Mookie Smits, a filmmaker turned con man, down on his luck and trying to use this mystery to his advantage. People would pay good money to see a film about pretty women scaring themselves silly in the woods, and if his actors don't know they're in a film, well, that just means he doesn't have to pay them. Margaret Murphy is a suffragette turned telephone operator. Somehow, operating a switchboard isn't as exciting as being at the front of a social movement. But solving a murder mystery, hey now, that's something she can get behind. Maybe Margaret can become a gumshoe, just like in those pulp novels she reads at work. All Margaret would need is a trusty sidekick. Whom she finds in Hazel? That's right, just Hazel, an artist with a keen interest in the supernatural. She knows that spirits are real, and by golly, she's gonna speak with them. And then we have Ruth Adler, a nurse who's much more cynically motivated. Ghosts aren't real, so a job that pays you to exorcise malevolent spirits is really just a cash handout from a rich idiot. She can see right through Mookie's bullshit, but if he's willing to pay for her drinks, then why not let him? Times are tough after all. Harvey Bolton is a World War I defector on the run. His search for eldritch answers lead him to Ithaca, New York, where he hopes to exact revenge on the Saxton family. Remember about that estate thing I mentioned at the beginning of all this? And their cult followers, for the horrors they forced him to endure in the trenches of France. His dreams have a bad habit of coming true. Too bad they're mostly nightmares. Some people call it dreaming sideways, but I'm sure that's not important. Anyway, his quest is complicated by his brother-in-arms and former lover, Charles Smith, a.k.a. Chuck, who now serves as the Ithaca chief of police. He was certain I say, that Harvey was dead.
Dun dun dun. What's that here? Scene 1, page 1, panel. Piece of garbage. Shit. Should have had that second cup of coffee. What was I thinking? Where did I put that stupid thing? Test. Where was I? Note to self, buy a new typewriter. Scene 1, page 1, panel 1. Officer Adams is driving in his police car, but he's in civilian clothes, a nice suit and hat. He's driving along some rolling hills. It is autumn, but very soon it will be winter. He chews a cigarette deep in thought. Let's remember to shift the color tones to help visually convey the seasons and that time has passed. Now that I think about it, that also kind of works to hint that the bookends are in a different universe than the main story. Oops, as the kids say, spoiler alert. He gets out of his car and tosses the smoke onto the gravel. He's carrying a manila folder full of police files. He walks toward the Seneca Sanitarium. It looms, tall, impenetrable, and utterly sterile. Detective Adams walks, hands in his pockets, as the cold November air blows over him. The trees are nearly devoid of leaves now. Inside the sanitarium, the walls are just as sterile as they are on the outside. Adams talks to an orderly at the front desk.
Detective Adams, I have a 3 o'clock with the new inmate, Ms. Boggs.
You're quite early.
Well, no time like the present.
Well, she is in a fairly agreeable state right now.
On barbiturates, I presume.
Oh, yes. Ms. Boggs was especially willful when she arrived. I should warn you, her living arrangements are a little, off-putting at the moment.
How so?
You
They
see,
stand in front of her door to her cell, room number 23.
we found that Ms. Boggs is more willing to take her medicine if we give her drawing implements.
That doesn't sound like proper protocol.
Well, Ms. Boggs was mutilating herself in order to find something to paint with.
I beg your pardon?
It's not my place to tell lurid tales, detective. Just trust that what you are about to see is a marked improvement.
Opening the door, we see a fairly small room. Next to no furnishings except for a bed and a wooden nightstand, there are a number of pieces of charcoal on the stand and on the floor and one in Hazel's hand. She sits on the bed and stares at the wall, facing away from the viewer. All of her fingertips are bandaged individually. The walls and floors are covered in drawings, threads and vines branching out in paths across her room, similar to the crayon drawing in Stranger Things 2. We see that she has riffed on this design that they found in the church several times around the room, and she has also written out several verses from the Book of Seams on the walls and floor. In an infinite universe, any point in space or time can be considered the center of everything. At the point on the wall in which Hazel is looking currently, there is a lot of blank white space, almost like a window through all the mad scribbling she's done elsewhere. In that window is an attempt by Hazel at a self-portrait, done with charcoals, next to Margaret. It is pretty good. She is an artist, after all.
You have a guest, Abigail.
We see a reverse shot looking at Hazel's face, the wall behind her and the orderly plus Detective Adams. Hazel is drugged to near oblivion. Only her art hints at any inner life still left. Over her shoulder on the wall behind her is Hazel's interpretation of Rupert Saxton, the version she encountered in the woods. Cruder and more ambiguous than her drawings in the window on the other wall. It's more like her artistic interpretation of the fear she experienced when they all finally confronted the monster that was once a man. Due to the framing, this drawing appears to be leering down at her.
I'm not allowed visitors.
A detective would like to ask you some questions.
In private.
Margaret wanted to be a detective.
Is that so?
That's funny, huh?
Well,
Because she was a woman, right?
So then, you two were close?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Not really. Not yet. I mean, I think we were gonna be close. Could have been close.
Adams stands next to the drawing, trying his best to act like he's qualified to interpret it.
I see. So, this then represents what you wish could have been?
No.
Detective Adams' eyes light up, but he keeps his cool. Hazel has stood up and walked over to the wall. She touches the window she made lightly.
That's another me. A better one. I saw her in the woods. And then again in my dreams.
You saw another Abigail at the Saxton estate.
No. She still goes by Hazel.
Hazel has picked up a charcoal and tweaks the portraits of her and Margaret.
Did you see another Margaret, too?
Yes.
Close in again on the charcoal drawings as Hazel rubs her bandaged and blood-stained fingers against the charcoal dust to shade it better.
Things are better where she is. I'm trying to get there.
Adams is sizing up the monstrous drawing of Rupert. It disturbs him.
Can you tell me what this is?
Something I can't remember. Something from the woods.
An ice cube is grasped with metal tongs. It hovers above a glass of gin. I'm more a fan of the brown liquor myself, but to each his own. Yeah, that's the stuff. We see Theodore Wharton sipping from the glass of iced gin. Mr. Wharton looks straight ahead as if sizing up the reader.
Now, is this more of that Romanesville, Damn.
What'd I tell you?
We pull out and see that Mr. Wharton is inside of the main office of Wharton Studios. He sits behind an expensive mahogany desk on an equally expensive deep green velvet chair. It is evening, and soft cast lights illuminate the room. Another man stands facing Mr. Wharton. He is Hugo St. John Romano, a young, enterprising bootlegger looking to do more than brew hooch in his basement. Hugo leans against an Ithaqa shotgun as if it were a walking stick.
It is nice to taste something that didn't come out of the Romano family bathtub. No offense.
None taken. Who knew those Canucks could brew worth a damn?
They picked a lucrative time to get it right. How much do you have?
Hugo scratches his chin and thinks hard for a second. Math ain't his specialty.
Probably about 25 gallons. But the family can secure more if you've got any trucks to spare.
Well, we just started production on another film, so I could get you maybe 3 now, more when we wrap. Are you sure you can manage all this across the border?
Course. We got a guy what keeps things real simple. So long as you can keep things simple here in Ithaca.
Do things seem complicated to you, Hugo?
No, but the mayor
Is happy as long as my brother and I keep giving movie stars a reason to come in on the overnight train from New York City.
You have to understand, normally we like to keep things in the family.
Yes, but times are changing, Hugo. Your family, they're smart to expand.
Wharton scribbles something we can't read onto a piece of paper.
Bring what you've got to the bandwagon. Give this to the bouncer. They call him Little Jimmy, but you're going to call him James. You got it? Now, James will introduce you to one of my associates, a Mr. Smits. He'll make sure that you see the sights and have a good time.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I must say, I am glad my family decided to take this meeting, Mr. Wharton.
Oh, call me Teddy. I think once you see what we're building here, I won't be able to keep you away.
Meanwhile, back at the burnt remains of the Church of Flickering Ascension, Hazel and Margaret flash their lights back and forth, trying to put on a brave face and failing. The floor is a combination of burnt wooden timbers layered with ash and years of dust accumulation. The granite that remains intact is charred horribly, and in places, whole sections have crumbled and then fallen through the floorboards. A few rats scurry around, giving the humans a wide berth, watching them with a creepy intelligence. Think a season 1 True Detective.
I don't think anyone goes to this church, Margaret.
Very observant, Hazel.
Deeper inside, we see pews that have rotted away and collapsed. The beams of light from the 2 women's flashlights seem pathetic in relation to all the darkness that envelops them. Rats continue to move about the edges, watching.
Do you think it's safe to be here?
Of course it is. The city would have demolished this place if it was structurally unsound.
Oh. What if our cab leaves?
Well, we told George there would be $2 in it for him to wait.
Yeah, but what if...
Get it together, Hazel. Now, are we going to look for ghosts or turn tail and run home?
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. My head hurts and it's making me kind of jumpy.
Mine too, like there's cobwebs between your ears.
Yeah, sure. What is that?
They stand near a blackened wall where someone has recently painted a strange symbol in white paint. Splash page! Both women face away from us, framing the strange shape painted on the wall. They both shine their light at it. It looks freshly painted, maybe some of the paint bubbles slightly. It looks like some kind of eye staring at the reader. In the foreground, at the bottom of the frame, a number of rats observe the women.
Interesting.
Title: The Magician. Yeah, that's good. I'm good.
It's got 5 points that branch out, and the tip of the star is pointing down.
So,
it's not a pentacle like with the tarot. It's a pentagram, like with the devil.
Jesus, Hazel, why do you know that?
I paint the tarot a lot. It interests me.
Hazel's hand is reaching out towards the symbol to touch it.
Hazel, please don't touch that.
Close in on Hazel's hand, it's almost touching the symbol on the wall. Her fingers are just millimeters away from the paint. We're so close in that we can see that it seems to bubble where it anticipates her fingers will land.
Is it a spirit? No, I'm sorry. It's just some rats scared me, it's all. It is kind of queer the way they just stare at you, right?
Oh, jeez, Margaret, you scared me. They're probably just used to being fed.
Hazel has moved closer to the rat. She has her foot raised high in the air, about to stomp down.
Just stomp around a bit and they'll scatter.
Wait, Hazel, the floor!
Hazel brings her foot down hard to stomp and scare away the rat. However, the force causes her foot to go straight through the rotting wood. Hazel is on the floor in minor pain. Her whole leg is beneath the floor. Margaret has rushed to her side and is jiggling around trying to get her up. The rat continues to watch.
Ow, you said this building was safe.
Safe as long as we're not banging about.
The floor completely gives way around them, swallowing Hazel and Margaret both up. They are terrified. The rat scampers off. Mookie and Ruth are in Mookie's car. He's pulling up near the tea factory storefront. It's late at night, gas lamps light up the street, but nobody appears to be inside the shop. The wheels pull up onto the curb right in front of the store.
Not gonna let it go with the tea people, huh?
Is this that tacky establishment? I didn't even notice.
They're both opening the doors and getting out of the car. Mookie has grabbed his cane.
All I saw was a parking spot.
Inside the tea factory, deep in the back, Joseph Dunwich and Daniel Dunwich stand in the darkness looking out through the window at Mookie and Ruth leaving the car. The parking job is so atrocious it blocks the door's ability to open.
How long are we going to suffer this disrespect, Father?
For as long as we have to, Daniel.
If Reverend Kinney were here, he would have killed that charlatan.
Aye, and that is why Harold is on the lam while we remain by the weaver's side.
Joseph walks away from the reader to a door that reveals a staircase that descends into the dark. Perhaps we can see the symbol of Is Nagish carved on the inside of the door as it opens outwards.
That man is poking his nose around where he shouldn't. Ma says his friends are already investigating the church.
I have no doubt that she will take appropriate action.
Joseph is at the bottom of the stairs in the darkness of his basement. We can make out that there are wall-mounted candles down there, but they aren't lit yet. Perhaps there are some shelves with dusty old books and a skull or two as a bookend.
We should at least scare them off.
Don't be a child.
Close in on Joseph's hand as he contorts it into a strange shape. Two small sequential panels that depict the door at the top of the staircase closing on Daniel. The candles mounted on the walls spurt to life. Now that the room is illuminated, we can see that it houses an altar, and that Joseph stands in front of it. The skulls of several newborns adorn the altar. Since the bones in a newborn skull haven't fused together, I imagine these skulls must be held together with stitching. Joseph's dagger rests on the altar. There's a white and a black candle on either side as well, and a framed photograph. Though we're probably not close enough to get a good look at it, it's a photo of Joseph and Rupert from over 40 years ago, before Rupert was twisted. We're looking up at Joseph as he holds the photograph in his hand. He looks tired. The years of waiting weigh heavy upon him. Candles glow dimly in the background.
Rupert.
Close in on Joseph's hand, clutching the framed photograph from 1880. It shows a 20-year-old Joseph Dunwich as the manservant to a very aristocratic Rupert Sexton. This is a photograph taken on the tail end of their expedition to Brazil. The two are excited, happy. Rupert holds up several pieces of bark that have strange symbols carved into them. It is held together with bits of twine.
How much longer before we leave this doomed world behind?
How much longer indeed? Mookie and Ruth approach the bandwagon speakeasy. It's only a block or so away from the tea factory. The top part of the building looks normal enough, like a courthouse or something, but there is a set of stairs that goes below street level. Light is emanating from below.
You been here, Toots?
Ooh, don't call me Toots. And no.
They're going down the steps. They approach a thick wooden door with an eye slot that can slide open and shut. Mookie raps against the door with his cane. The eye slot slides open. The very intimidating eyes of little Jimmy peer outward. You can't see him yet, but little Jimmy is a gorilla of a man, hired muscle for the Romano family.
Shit! Mokes, is that you? You sure you can afford to keep coming back in here?
Hey, I'm wearing a suit, ain't I? Open up.
Ah, you're lucky no one else knows it's the only one you got.
That's on account of everyone being preoccupied with my charm and wit.
Oh, probably preoccupied with whether that's cologne you're wearing or pure grain alcohol.
I like her.
Jimmy leads them into the main ballroom. Crystal chandeliers drape yellow light over the patrons, all dressed like they're right out of The Great Gatsby. Palm trees add a little green to the room, and people sit at tables with small lamps to add a little more ambiance. On stage, the jazz band plays. The lead singer, Rosemary Jones, she'll be important in the semi-distant future, harmonizes beautifully.
Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me. Say nighty nighty, kiss me. Just hold me close and tell me you'll miss me while I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream a little dream, dream a little dream, dream a little dream of me.
Jimmy continues to lead them through the crowd to a table far off to the side, behind the palm fronds where they put the rejects and people who didn't dress that nice. This area is mostly devoid of people, but Hugo can be seen at a table drinking by himself, enraptured by Rosie on stage. He's the only other person in this section.
Now, I'm sorry to says this, miss, but I have to seat you off on this side on account of your tires and, well, and on account of his bad credit. Hey!
Hey! I got bread this time.
Don't mind, won't be here long.
Jimmy pulls out the chair for Ruth as he sits down.
Ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
You can call me Little Jimmy.
Little.
Yeah, just like how Greenland ain't really green.
He has to call me James.
Mookie lights a cigarette on the table candle while offering Ruth one from his holder. She accepts.
So I hope you don't mind, but I'm expecting another friend here tonight.
Oh, you promised me a drink. Once that's done, I reserve the right to enjoy my night off, sans your company.
Mookie tries to flag down a waiter.
I think that is exceedingly fair.
Just don't think I'm here because I find you charming.
Hey now!
I'm here because I haven't had a night out in a very long time. And because sitting with you will keep other men from talking to me.
Mookie smokes petulantly.
You're real flapper, you know that?
Well, technically, I'm married.
Ruth displays her ring.
Cheapskate ever only cared enough to get me silver, though.
Well, I'm sure what's-his-name would be just delighted to know about your current whereabouts.
In the background, we can see little Jimmy pointing a very drunk Hugo in the direction of Mookie and Ruth's table.
At ease. That card shark cut out years ago. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get a divorce with an absent man.
That same very drunk Hugo has stumbled into frame.
Hey! You must be Mr. Shits.
Is this your friend?
I think so. Waiter, can we get some drinks over here?
He's
As quickly as possible.
Come on!
already had enough.
Hugo pulls a chair up to their table and sits down at it.
Hey! Well, you're pretty. Are you in film?
No. Ruth's a friend.
Hey! I'm making friends!
You seem real nice, but actually I was just thinking of leaving, so...
No. Hey. You're friends with Hugo now, huh? And, Hugo, he's good to his friends.
Close in on Hugo slamming his bottle onto the table. Liquid inside swishes about.
For starters, you're both drinking for free tonight. Huh? As much as you want.
Mookie and Ruth exchange a glance that conveys something along the lines of, works for me.
Come on. What's several free drinks amongst friends?
Free is good. Free is good.
Well, Hugo, glad you could join us.
Free is good. Back at the police station, Chuck and Harvey are still looking at papers and folders. It's late. None of the other officers remain in the station. Chuck is checking his pocket watch. He's tense, still angry with Harvey, but getting too tired to keep up the hostility.
It's getting late. Time to pack it up.
So far, all I got is one name. Rosemary Jones?
And she sings over at a joint on West Ave. We're very popular with the men.
Harvey barely looks up from what he's reading.
Well, it's a start. I'll have to finish this and get started.
I said, pack it up. You've got a lead. Go follow it.
What? You got somewhere to be or something?
Yes. My wife will be getting worried.
Your wife? Well, I'm sorry for keeping you. Chuck.
Harvey is walking out the front door to the police station with all his things. Chuck is in the doorway, debating throwing a lifeline to Harvey.
Harv. Rosie sings at the Bandwagon. They run liquor there. Usually we turn a blind eye, but...
But I'll keep an eye on the exits in case any of your men take a fancy to upholding the law.
Harvey walks along the dimly lit streets at night, smoking, quiet, unreadable. He walks past the tea factory, but stops for a second to look at Mookie's awful parking job. Remember from earlier? Call back.
What an asshole.
Harvey is walking down the stairs to the door of the Bandwagon. He raps on the door with the back of his knuckles. The door slot slides open, revealing little Jimmy's eyes yet again.
This the Bandwagon?
Who the fuck is you, pal?
You treat all your clientele like this?
Just the ones that is dressed like shits?
Look, I'd like to go in and see the band.
Yeah, that's nice.
Jimmy slides the peephole shut. Harvey looks up and sees a window about 20 feet up. He places his hand and tip of his boots on the wall to his side. The walls are narrow enough that he's going to be able to climb up the window by spidering up. Harvey has started to scale this wall. Back inside the Bandwagon speakeasy, Ruth, Mookie, and Hugo are 3 peas in a pod and drunk as hell.
It was just piss. Piss everywhere on her shoes, on her coat. Oh, I hope that woman stays healthy forever and never comes back.
I never knew the dangers implicit in nursehood.
Oh, I knew the risks when I put on the uniform. Just, didn't know about the pay, though.
You're all right, Ruthie. You're all right.
I'll admit, you got more sense than those other broads. Hey, they're missing out.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how that church trip is going for them.
Oh, that church trip was going badly for them.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
They have fallen through the floorboards and into the secret basement below. Remember that image we ended on last issue with the 2 skeletons in shard robes? They've fallen squarely into the middle of all that grossness. Hazel has fallen near the skeleton, clutching the skin book that is chained to the desk. Margaret has fallen on top of the other skeleton, collapsing it, scattering its bones and dust. One flashlight is broken. There's barely any light for them to see.
Oh no. Oh no, I landed in. Oh no.
Hazel has stood up and limped over to a wall and is looking up through the hole they fell in. In the background, Margaret pulls herself away from the pile of bones, still holding her hand over her mouth. Maybe a little bit of vomit is slipping through her fingers.
Oh, how are we gonna get out of here?
I taste it. I taste skeleton.
Hello? Hello? We need help!
Does this mean I'm a cannibal now? Am I going to hell?
No one can hear us. Oh, that cab is probably gonna leave soon.
Oh, no.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Hazel hugs Margaret.
It's okay. You're not going to hell for breathing in a little dust. And we're gonna find a way out of here.
Harvey is inside the window he was climbing towards. We see that it has been left ajar. He crouches in what appears to be a risque photo studio. A pink velvet fainting chair is in front of a green backdrop. A photo camera rests unused on a tripod facing the chair. Harvey does not seem to notice. The room is dark. He has crept to the doorway and peeks through. The door is only cracked a few inches and warm light partially illuminates Harvey.
I said no. Bank's closed, hon.
Peeking through the door crack, we see a beautiful flapper, dressed in rhinestones, feathers, and silk. A greasy mob man in a poor excuse for a suit puts an arm against the wall and leans in to bother her. They're at the top of the stairway that heads downwards. This is not the part of the bar that customers are meant to see.
Hey, lighten up, would ya? A kiss ain't never hurt nobody.
You're right. Back off.
I seen the pictures you take up here.
That doesn't mean I need to give a hog like you the time of day.
Hey, don't call me names.
Jimmy? Jimmy?
He can't hear you over the band, doll. What the fuck? Ah!
Harvey has the greasy man in a chokehold and is poking him out. He paws at Harvey's elbow in vain, but Harvey was trained for this kind of thing.
So, I was wondering if you could maybe help me out, ma'am? See, that gorilla up front wouldn't let me in.
Well, that's his job. You're dressed like shit.
Yeah, he said as much.
Harvey lowers the now unconscious body to the floor.
There's someone here I need to speak with.
You're not some kind of stalker, are you?
Do you think maybe I deserve the benefit of the doubt?
No. But you're cute. And I guess that goes a long way.
He is cute. She grabs his hand and leads him downstairs to the speakeasy.
Come on, I'm on stage in a bit, and now I gotta freshen up. Who you after?
Rosemary Jones?
Oh, so you are a stalker.
I don't even know what she looks like.
Rosie is singing on stage.
Well, congrats. Now you do. I'm Delilah, by the way.
That's her up on stage?
Close in on Rosie on stage as she croons a beautiful jazzy tune, the last of her set. She radiates an aura of sultry confidence, like less objectified Jessica Rabbit. We're backstage in the dark.
That's her.
That's Rosie.
I'm Harvey, by the way. And thanks, Delilah. Truly.
Thanks yourself, Harv. Mwah.
Oh.
Don't be a stranger, Harvey.
Yeah. I'll see you around.
Way to play cool, Harv. A panel of Harvey alone in frame.
Took you long enough.
What?
I've been waiting for you for some time now.
I'm Harvey.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And you're here to stir up all kinds of trouble. What, you thought you were special? You're not the only person who dreams sideways, Harvey. And we have got a lot of work to do.
Mookie, Ruth, and Hugo stumble along Main Street. Hugo has his shotgun slung over his shoulder. Mookie leans heavily on his cane.
This escort is not necessary, mental gem.
Honor demands it.
Hey, nobody threatens my friends, huh?
Hugo has pulled his shotgun up and aims it at an imaginary mugger.
Hey, stop! Step away from the nurse, or you're gonna have to go through 9 pounds of Ithaqa steel.
Hey, watch where you point that thing, would ya?
They've reached the tea factory. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong.
Oh, there's no harm in it. Wait a minute. That's my car!
Oh, I've been waiting for you all night.
Underneath a street lamp, Daniel is crouched next to Mookie's car. Cultist 1 stands next to him with a crowbar, smoking through rubble. The windows are smashed, the tires slashed. Daniel has even started pulling the film equipment out of the car and laying it on the road. Mookie's camera is on its side, still attached to the wooden tripod. Daniel is looking over his shoulder, remorseless, and yes, looking for a fight.
You hillbilly pieces of shit!
Daniel slowly straightens up, close in on Daniel's right hand, holding a switchblade. This stops Mookie for a second. Ruth has her hand on his shoulder. Hugo is already aiming his gun.
Whoa, hold up.
Mookie grips the handle of his cane.
This isn't going to go the way you think it is.
He pulls the handle, revealing that this is a sword cane.
Really?
A gentleman is always prepared.
Gee, that's a swell sword, folks. Hey! Drop what you got.
Yeah, we're going for a little stroll downtown.
We who will be woven cannot be touched.
Huh?
What are you going on about?
Joseph Dunwich slams open the door to the tea factory.
Boy, what the hell are you doing?
I'm working the will of the weaver.
Get back inside, you damned fool.
Hugo uses his gun to gesture that Joseph should stand still, and Mookie indicates that Daniel and Cultist 1 join Joseph off to the side. Mookie looks like an idiot.
Hey, don't move. You're
And
gonna
you-
cover the damages, huh?
And you two stand over there.
Let's go.
At the car now, Mookie is putting his camera upright and inspecting it for damage. The 3 cultists stand off to the side while Hugo points his gun at them. They've dropped their weapons, and Ruth helps Mookie inspect the car for damage.
These guys sure did a number.
Better pray this still works, you tea-drinking pricks.
A click, the sound of pressurized air being released, and the camera sputters.
Oh, shit. You two better pay up for breaking my camera.
You are going to walk away and pretend none of this ever happened.
Oh, cocky one, huh?
When we make wrath is snuggish.
Hey, what are you muttering about?
He's probably saying his prayers, most likely.
Ithaqa, Camille, Agno, Vuhramin.
You're gonna get it now.
Joseph's eyes look dead ahead as he says the final words of his spell.
Kiss, Nagish.
This guy's a kook. 'Cause that's one strange fucking Hail Mary.
Close in on Hugo's hands holding the shotgun. His fingers are starting to fill with fluid and blister, as if his skin was cheese and just starting to bubble in the microwave. Zoom out a little bit. Hugo's eyes are getting pink as they start to cloud with blood. He squints as it becomes a little harder for him to see. The boils on his fingers and hands are more pronounced. Hugo's starting to feel them as well.
So it's just, Let's,
Jesus, Hugo! What's up with your hands?
I'm not. Ah!
Hugo is fighting to stay lucid in spite of the increasing amount of pain. He barely manages to keep the gun he's holding upright. Hugo's eyes are completely clouded with blood. Some even leaks out of his tear glands, blinding him. His hands are repulsive to look at. Some blisters have burst and are dripping fluid.
Hugo.
I can't. I can't see.
Daniel lunges toward Hugo and his gun.
No!
Joseph tries to grab him but misses. Hugo screams silently in agony, falling to his knees. Both hands have come up to paw at his unseeing eyes, dropping the shotgun. Daniel's hands grasping for Hugo like claws, the shotgun still midair. The gun falls. Extreme close-up of the shotgun making contact with the pavement. Hugo is covered in blood and boils, blind and screaming. The body of Daniel lies in front of him, minus a head. A halo of blood, brains, and bones spread outward away from where a head should be, while more blood starts to spurt and pool from his neck. Poor kid. Back inside Hazel's cell, Detective Adams continues to look at the nightmarish drawing of Rupert Saxton on the wall.
So, let's talk about something that you can remember. That trip that you and Margaret took to the church.
Mm-hmm.
The police report mentions that you were trapped in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose that you found anything interesting? Anything that maybe could help Margaret's case? You know what? Let me get that for you. Right. So, is there anything that you feel
There was
may
nothing
have...
in that church but soot, bones, and rats. Nothing else.
Thank you all for coming to the final performance of Ithaca Online. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope it spooked you. We hope it made you laugh and put you back in time. I'm going to now put our view to Brady Bunch mode so that you may applaud our actors and that they may bow. Give them a physical and virtual round of applause, please. And please also, once again, consider tipping the production at the bottom of the frame here. And additionally, please consider backing the comic on Kickstarter. We've only got 2 days left. We're fully funded, so it's a sure deal. If you back, you will get more issues. And after a cliffhanger like that, how could you not, right? How could you not? Anywho, hopefully we'll be back with more issues and more episodes. But until then, thank you so much for this amazing week. This has been honestly the highlight of my week, and I think it's been great for the actors as well. So thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it. Love you all.